Okay. Welcome you all to the GDPR webinar. We can all say hi now because it's recording. Hey. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hi.
Hello, hello.
To everyone who's at home and now to everyone who's here live on the 22nd of January of 2021 at 7 p.m. Portugal or 8 p.m. in Spain and in Morocco, because we're going to have, the district is expanding. So thank you all for coming. My name is Norberto Amaral, and I'm the GDPR project manager. And we're here today because we're going to start this project, and I would like to briefly explain what we're all here for, what this GDPR is. Some of you will, of course, already know, but we'll go into more detail about what our plans are for the district and what the project will look like. And also how we're going to sustain this over many club officers' roles. I mean, so every year we're going to have this kind of thing going on happening, right? And this is a project. When I say that I'm a project manager, it means that we have more people in. They haven't arrived yet, but they'll soon join us. I will introduce them when they join us tonight in a few minutes, I hope. So we have Mafalda Guimarães. She is the VP of Invicta Toastmasters Club in Porto, a good friend. She's also the girlfriend of Rafael, right, Rafael? He's there.
I would prefer you mention that I'm the president of the club, not the boyfriend. That should be private information.
Too late now. GDPR. There you are. Oh, there we are. There's Deborah. Let's just let Deborah in, because Deborah, she's the other project manager, project leader here. She's just about to join, connecting to audio. Give it a second. There you are. Deborah, how are you?
Hello, how are you doing?
Nice to see you. So this is Deborah Cerro. She is the president of Alicante Speakers Club. And so I asked Mafalda and Deborah to join me for one big reason, because they are lawyers, I'm not, and this is a big legal matter. They have been amazing helping me out with this. It's a joint effort. It's more theirs right now than it's mine, to be honest. So a little bit of background on myself. I've been a Toastmaster since 2011. I've been a VP, a president, area director, division director, and now currently I'm the administration manager for the district. So I'm part of the district core team. Now, why are we doing this? For two reasons. First of all, because it's absolutely necessary that we do GDPR compliance across the clubs in the district. Also, and I would say it's just as important, I would say, that this is an HPL project for me, high performance leadership. So I need this project. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I want to make sure that this is a project that starts and has a middle and an end, and therefore that we're going to have this with success. I'll do my best, of course, okay? I would do this anyway, but of course I have to say that outright that this is an HPL project for me. I've got to be transparent with you all, right? So this is why, okay? Now, again, thank you very much for coming. And after a brief introduction of myself and Deborah and Mafalda, let's go quickly over what is GDPR. And by the way, there are not too many of us here tonight. So if you want to ask a question, if it's directly related to the matter at hand, what we're talking about, feel free. If we have questions that is not directly related to the things that we're talking about, leave it to the end, and there's going to be surely enough time in the end to raise new issues or different subjects about things that we're not currently talking about. So feel free to ask any questions at any moment, as long as they are directly related to the point, okay? No problem whatsoever. You can interrupt, you can raise your hand, or you can just say, Norberto, just barge in. There's 12 of us here. It's enough. I'm sure we can all understand each other. So what is this GDPR thing? Well, GDPR is a EU law, basically a law based in the European Union that aims to protect private information that is dealt with by organizations, by corporations across actually everywhere in the world. If you are in the European Union, anyone who deals with private information, with your information, personal information, will have to comply with GDPR. Okay. Oh, thank you. Deborah's just telling me that I look too serious. Okay, I'll smile more. Thank you, Deborah. Just chatting here. So GDPR, oh, there we are, someone coming in. So GDPR aims to ensure that every single organization that deals with information has at heart a few good principles to deal with it. First of all, respect that we're not going to ask too much information from people. Second, that we store that information well, and third, that we use it well as well, that we don't use it for any ends that we are not good, obviously. And throughout all this, that anyone whose information is used, that information needs to be, well, it needs to be transparent. People need to know what information we're using and why, okay? So that's really the basis of GDPR. And by the way, Deborah, if you feel that I'm saying something that is not fully legally correct, feel free to barge in and tell me, Norberto, it's actually a little bit different. Absolutely fine, okay? We prepared this, but who knows, right? Thank you, there you are. So the thing is, we at Toastmasters also deal with information, of course, right? We deal with personal information like the name and the contacts. We also deal with activity information. So for example, daily, we use things like where you are in pathways. We need to know, for example, excuse me, what awards you have been given and which ones you'll be given in the future. And this information currently we're not compliant, and we need to be. Now, in strictest terms, when it comes to information, I'll have some news for you. Because in Toastmasters, actually, at the district, the division, and area level, we're not really an organization in the sense that we're not we don't hold legal status. So in a true sense, we don't really need to be compliant. However, we should. It's a good sign. It's a sign of not just compliance, it's a sign of respect that we're doing this, right? At club level, it depends, because some clubs are associations or companies. I wouldn't say they are companies, but at least they are like an association, like a non-profit, and other clubs are not. In any case, I think everybody should comply with these rules anyway. Also, for example, imagine that you are in one of these clubs and the club holds, is compliant with GDPR, but then you go to an event which is held by another club and that club isn't. So that's kind of murky. So we'd like to make sure that every single club abides by GDPR rules, okay? Now, there's one extra important information that I should say outright. Clubs are sovereign. So I'm here as a project manager leading this, but I'm not telling you, and kind of twisting your arm behind you, telling you have to do this. I don't hold that power. You do. At clubs, you are responsible for everything in the club. I'm not. So if you are here and if you want to go ahead with this, it's absolutely fantastic. I will try to convince every one of you and everyone who's watching this, or everyone who's not watching this as well, every single club, to be compliant. But at the last moment, it's your decision. So, and we'll have to respect that. Okay, it's something that's quite important to know, that clubs are sovereign, and it's up to you to whether you go ahead with this or not. Okay, I should say that. Any questions before we go into a little bit more detail? Does anyone has any questions? Yes, Alvaro, go on.
Yes, when you say that as a district, it is not a legal entity, who is the owner of the EasySpeak and all the tools where all the private information is? Who is the owner of this?
Well, for example, EasySpeak is actually owned by a company, and that company is owned by Toastmasters. It's based in the UK. In fact, when we share the club, what's it called, the user GDPR form, we're going to identify what's the address, their contacts basically, and they actually already, EasySpeak already has its own privacy notice and GDPR compliance. So when you go in, and well, it was implemented shortly after GDPR. If you go in now, you have to give your authorization to your information being used in EasySpeak, right? But we, Toastmasters, in the district, we don't own it, okay? And in fact, around the world, there are not many people using EasySpeak. It's just a few districts in Europe. People in North America, South America, and Asia, they don't use EasySpeak. I hope that's clear.
So,
yep. Luca,
one question from Luca. Hi, this is Luca from BCN Pride Barcelona. So I understand that all you're saying now about GDPR is not applying to EasySpeak, for instance. It's just applying to data that each club stores locally or owns locally. Is this
exactly
correct?
Yes, because the thing is that EasySpeak has its own policy, and we're going to tell people what their policy is as well. So it's basically, it's going to be in the documents that we share. We're going to share that with everyone. By the way, it's the same thing with Toastmasters International. Toastmasters International website has its own policy. So if you go in and say, this is my name, this is my email, this is my phone number, and so on, and also, of course, your progress in your educational progress in Toastmasters, that's held by Toastmasters International website. The thing is that you in the club, I in the district core team, for example, we can pull out reports from Toastmasters International. That information, when you get it and when I get it, it's kind of outside GDPR rules now. Well, actually, it should be within GDPR rules, but it's not. Because clubs and district and so on, we're not compliant yet. So that's why, that's one extra reason why it's really important that we are compliant.
I understand, but I would say, so if I have to compare TMI with EasySpeak or tmclub.eu, I mean, in TMI, I have I'm the president of the club, but even so, I have no way to show other club members the personal information of other members. On the other hand, I do have this power, so to speak, this permission to do it in tmclub.eu. So I can tick or untick some fields so that other members can see the full name of the member, his mobile phone, etc. So in this sense, it would be a bit different. Do you have some comment to say on this?
Well, when it comes to TMI, TMI is the global organization, and if anything, in the beginning, when there's a new member, you're the one helping out the member to make the first registration.
Sure.
And then the member can go there and amend anything they want, but it's their own thing, and we're not going to touch that. Okay. In the same thing it's with the EasySpeak. We're just going to say this information. Well, in the documents, in this information, we're requesting you to use it in those systems, and for what purposes, of course, right? But that's all we do. After that, it's up to TMI. And there's nothing that we can do. But however, as a club officer, what we're saying is we're giving you the power to say, no, this is the information that we hold about you, and this is what we're going to use it for, and this is how we're going to store it, that kind of thing. Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions before we carry on? Okay. So I'm going to briefly share our vision of the GDPR, and then I'll talk about the project itself later on, just immediately afterwards. So first of all, I'm going to take my eyes off for a few seconds away from the camera because I have to read this, okay? So clubs are the entry points of new members and need to understand how to deal with private information of their members with due care and respect. And of course, we'd like all clubs to be here and to be GDPR compliant. Why we identify personal information, namely the name, the email address, postal address, the phone number, home phone number, and the gender. This is the information that you in the clubs already ask all new members to create their own entry, let's say their own user on Toastmasters International, and also, of course, on EasySpeak. We also identify activity information for individual members. For example, participation in club activities, progress with the educational program, as well as mentors, mentees, and of course, very important, photos and videos that we can record and maybe shared, maybe stored somewhere. And currently, as far as I know, most clubs are not asking members to explicitly say, for example, whether in an event or on Zoom, to say, yes, can we record this? Can we put this online? Can we take a picture? And the thing is, most of the times it's absolutely fine. The problem is when there is a problem, when there is a club member who's really thinks, this is not how we do it, how we should do it. There's something that the club has done that the member thinks it's wrong. That can happen. And so we need to protect ourselves. When I say ourselves is basically at the club level. You need to protect yourselves to say that, yes, if there's any problem, if ever any problem goes to court, that you are okay with this, that you are protected because you've told the member previously, we're going to use this information for that purpose. And that is the aim of this project, that we're all okay with this. Is that clear for all of you? It's basically a show on one hand that you are dealing with information in a correct way, respectfully, at the same time that the member knows that as well. And the member has agreed explicitly for every information that they are sharing, that they say, yes, I can use this. I agree with this. And it's absolutely fine after that, okay? So it sounds complicated, but in fact, it can be very complicated. We try to make this simple and streamlined. Okay, so how are we going to do this? There are a few things. So first of all, we're writing some documents. We have basically myself and Mafalda that I've mentioned, and Deborah who's here. We've written some documents, which are going to be, I'm going to briefly explain each one of them to you. And we're going to also translate them into Portuguese, into Spanish. So we'll have 3 versions, English, Portuguese, and Spanish. And we're going to have those documents ready for every club officer to download, actually everyone, because it's going to be on the website. So everyone can download those, and we can then present it to new users or to new members. So what documents are these? First document, I will say that, by the way, it's not in terms of importance, but the first document that most people will see. So when there is a new, say a guest, someone who we invited to come to one of our meetings, whether in presence or on Zoom, we'll have a very short document. We're trying to make it short as like half a page or something. If anything, anyone has any questions, we'll have a link to the main documents online and say, thank you for coming. This is Toastmasters International. This is us. This is my club. And we have a room there for changing the name of the club. And you here, and we'll use your image or use your name, or whatever it is. It's up to you then to make any particular changes if you want to. And then the person just signs that either online, or if you want in presence, you can have that piece of paper and people will sign it. And it's just a small formality because most people won't mind anyway. I know it sounds a bit of, it doesn't sound very friendly, but it's necessary. And this is very short, okay? So every time you have a new person coming in, it's a good idea to ask this exactly the same way that the VPM usually talks to every single person, that they'll have this document ready for them to sign. There'll be a second document, and this by far is the most important, most complete and in-depth document. It's a document for new members or for members. Whether we are a current member, like I've been a member for more than 9 years now, or whether you've got someone who's just registering for the first time, everyone should look at this document that we're going to share. I can show you in a few seconds just so you can have a quick look at it. The current way, it's basically in English so far, not in Portuguese or Spanish yet. We're working on that, as I said. And that document is where we say, here's who we are. Here's the information that we hold on you, what we're using it for. And that is a bit long. That will take a few pages. And then we'll also say, you have these choices. You can, for example, say, I don't want my image to be put online. I don't mind putting it online, but I don't want to be identified on social media, for example, those kind of options. So there will be a few things that people have to say. By being a Toastmaster, you have to agree with this information being used. Otherwise, what's the point, right? For example, we have to know your name. I mean, nobody can say, oh, I want to be anonymous. Doesn't make any sense, right? So some bits of information for some uses, they will be mandatory. We'll have to say, we have to agree, and we have to say this just because this is how we work, right? It's like in your bank. You have to say to your bank, you have to give your name and your address and so on and so on and so on. And there's no option under GDPR that says, oh, I don't want my bank to not know my address. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So in some senses, we'll say, by signing this, you'll be agreeing to this and this and this and this. There's a big list of that. And there will be a few options. And for that, they'll have little checkboxes. They'll have to say yes, but they'll have to do it by themselves. They'll have to say, definitely, expressly, I want you, or basically, I want you to use this information. By default, it will be unchecked. So they'll have to do the checks themselves on purpose, like tick, 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 tick. Hopefully everyone will say yes, but who knows, right? And this document that people sign, whether if you prefer to have it printed and people will sign it, it will have to be stored somewhere. We'll talk about that. Or it can be just online on your, say, Google Drive account, for example. People just say, yeah, okay, I'll put my name here, and it's going to be digital, and it's enough. That's absolutely enough. Okay. So that document, I'm going to share it with you right now. Just give me a few seconds while I get the documents here for you to have a quick look. This is not going to be for you to read everything. It's just a quick look. Okay. Let me just see where it is. So GDPR, and the documents are here. So club members. So I'm going to share the documents now. A second. There we are. I hope you can see this. Right? Can you see these documents here? So this is currently on Google Drive, and we'll have some fields in yellow so that anyone can go in and basically change it to them. Rafael, if you have any questions, you can barge in. I just saw your message right now. So I'm just going to share the document, just show the document. And if you could just wait until the end of the document, then I'll let you ask the question, okay? Or is it about the document itself?
Okay. No.
Okay. So basically,
show the document, please.
There you are. This is the document. So I'll just show you the section. So who we are. So basically, you have enough room here to change the club, the identification of the club, what information we collect, club members for award winners, for example. Why do we collect information? Who is the information shared with, and so on. So basically, there you are, Toastmasters International and Easy Speak. So there you are. So to the person who's talking about Easy Speak. Club email accounts, cloud storage, whether, where you store this information. Here we have some options, but you can create other ones. This is why we have the yellow bit. If any club has a different kind of web storage, absolutely fine. Social media, for example, this we can ask you to. We'll ask you then to make this your own version, and you'll have to put here the link to Facebook, to your Facebook account, and to your LinkedIn account, Instagram, anything else that you have. Instant messaging like WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, whatever. Online meeting platforms such as Zoom and Teams and WebEx. It looks long, but in fact, the structure, it's very simple. And it's better to look a little bit long than to make it short and so compact that it's unreadable. So I hope that this will be very easy to read. So how do we protect the information? There you are. This last bit in yellow, it's an optional. So that's why we left it in yellow. How long do you keep the information? What are your rights to change, to access that information, and so on? This is all legal stuff that I think it's extremely important. How anyone can be contacted. So this is going to be your club email or the club's GDPR officer email. And complaint, if you have any, should be the same. And details in the agreement. And this is at this point that we say, what's your name and email and so on. This is the information that we're going to protect. And finally, these are the options. So until now, everything that we had there was basically saying, this is the standards to which everyone should abide. And these are the options. So for example, if someone doesn't want to be added onto a WhatsApp group, that's fine. They just leave this open like this, unchecked. If someone doesn't want to give their consent to take pictures, okay, they just leave this unchecked. Ideally, if everybody is okay with this, they will check all 4, of course, but we can't force anyone if anyone doesn't really want that. And then, yes, this is the kind of blanket thing to everything else that was up there, okay? And here a date and the club email again, just as a reminder, and that's it. So this is something, again, that I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. So this is something that we'll ask you at every club to present to every member, whether a current member or a previous one. Now, there are 3 people who want to speak. Can I suggest that first it should be Raphael who raised the hand first, then Martinique, and then Sheila, and then anybody else. Is that okay? Raphael, do you want to go and start it?
Yes. Sorry, you will hear me with some delay. Okay. My first question is, in your document, is there a section that says what is the minimum indispensable information and for which scenarios?
Yes, it's all in the documents. That's what I was saying, that there you've got at the end a section with 4 options. Those are the 4 options that we give to members, saying yes you can or yes you can't. Everything else is mandatory, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. For example, we need to know your address, your name, and you need to know your educational progress. Otherwise, how are we going to recognize the fact that you are now level 1 or level 5 or whatever? How are we going to award DTM medals or Triple Crown pins? We need to know that information. And I mean, for that, members don't have an option. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to be a Toastmaster, right? That's our point.
Okay. I had a second question, but I don't know if it's right for this moment. How far can we actually proceed and let me formulate the question better?
Okay, no problem. So Martinique, you had a question? Is she still here?
Yeah, I
there
was, you actually began just to answer just before, very briefly, because I wanted to know what we have to do. I mean, we have to show these documents if we are GDPR compliant to every current member.
Yes.
So they can actually give their consent to everything or some aspects. And also we have to actually send this also to past members that are no longer with us.
That's a great question, actually, about past members. I'm not sure, to be honest, how to answer that. But Deborah, do you have any questions? Any way you can help us with this? If she's still, she's got the sound.
I'm having problems today with my computer. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm thinking, actually, I think I better have a look at this thing. I don't know if you're seeing me because my screen is all black. But I will have a look at it with Mafalda, and we will let you know, because actually this is a very good question that it never occurred to us, and I don't really know. I don't want to give you an answer because I have to say like the GDPR, when it's applied, it is true that all the members that were before it also applies to them. But in that sense, we have to think, because we are, as Norberto say, we are not a legal entity. So we have to discuss, I think, better this question among us to give a better answer.
Thank you for asking, Martinique. It's really useful to have this kind of inputs, really.
Okay, and just to finish, okay, you cannot answer this question now, but maybe just for you to consider in your discussion. Let's say that we send the documents to past members. So what do we do if there is no reply?
Well,
one
again,
more point.
We'll have to put that in consideration.
Yeah,
I'll write it down. That's a good way. When we don't get an answer. I'm writing it down to make sure that we have, this will be considered. Okay, that's really good. Thank you. Sheila, you had a question as well?
Yeah. First of all, I think 5 pages is far too long. It will frighten the shit out of members.
I know.
We have a one page. We've been doing this for the last couple of years. We have a 1 page. It is not as detailed as that, but it basically says the same thing. Do you agree to this? Do you agree to that? Sign it. All right, and we keep that on our Google Documents there. Okay, I think 5 pages is too much. We're not a business. We're small companies. If you're talking about individual clubs, I think you've gone 2 pathways on it. But more importantly than that, your last page about the 4 things that they have to sign, whether they agree to or not agree to, who's going to monitor that? Because I know, for instance, when we have a super at the moment, when we're doing this online, our sergeant at arms, when she opens up, she says, now this is recorded. If you don't want to be recorded, then close off your camera. And that's fine, because she knows her job, right? But my point is how do we make that continuity? If she can't come in one night and somebody else takes her place and they don't remember to say that, how are you going to get that continuity of following what the people have signed up for?
That's a great question, Sheila.
Sorry, or do you just make an exception and only make a note of the ones that don't, that say they don't want to do something? If everybody says nothing, you say fine, and you only take note of the ones that object to something.
Okay, Sheila, that's a great question. Let me start that with the end. So yes, there will have to be a procedure in the club, simple, to ensure that anyone who's, for example, a Zoom master or a sergeant at arms or anything, someone who deals with that, they need to know those particulars of those members. Okay, I'm actually more actually at the club. It's actually more. It's easier to manage. I'm more concerned when it comes to, for example, to events that are at area club or division club, area level or division level. Other events, for example, that are done in, for example, joint events in clubs, that information is very easy to be lost. So we have, and I will show you in a few seconds, a shorter version of this document for events. So event organizers can ask anyone who's joining their events to make sure they'll have this knowledge. Also, for example, if someone says, I don't want my pictures to be taken, we're suggesting event organizers and eventually, of course, club organizers to say, tell these people to, if they don't want to be in a picture, to be in a particular spot or somewhere where their picture isn't taken, for example, as a group, for example. Mm-hmm. And even if a picture is taken, that it's later on deleted, for example, or, those are the things that we hope that everyone will say yes to these things, but these will be exceptions. So there'll be just a few of them. It shouldn't be too many people. And of course, it's something that it can fail. It can fail easily. We don't have answers for that in a sense that we don't have a rule that covers everything. So we'll have to ask people to have a good sense, good judgment when dealing with this information, and eventually ask, by default, ask everyone, is everyone okay if we take a picture? And people, of course, even if you don't ask, people still smile and still be there in the group taking a picture, that they'll be okay with that, right? So it's not easy to say that outright, that we have a rule that covers everything, but we've tried our best, at least when it comes to, of course, clubs and inter-club events, and also events at areas, at the level of area, division, and district. I hope that answers that last question, because there's another one that you asked. Regarding how long this is, so let's just finish. Sheila, are you going to ask any questions, Sheila? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm finished.
So one thing I was going to tell you about as a comment, because of your comments, how long that document is. Yes, I agree. It's very long. The point is, we're trying to make it smaller at the same time that it needs to be meaningful. It needs to be lawful, right? And I'm not sure, I'm not putting that in question, but I'm not sure that one page can cover everything. There are simply too many things. Now, yes, I know it's going to scare a few people off, but we tried at least that the document itself, it's very easy to read and very clear, as clear and transparent as possible. Hopefully, this will not be necessary for people to have this in print. That will be even more difficult to read, right? So we'll have this in online, hopefully. That's what we're going to suggest. And because it's going to be in sections, it's going to be very easy to read, and people say, yes, this makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Carry on, and then we'll go to the end. It's not going to be one of those things that are too long, like Windows EULA or Apple, when you subscribe to a service and it's going to be like 20 pages long or 200 pages long. We hopefully will never get there. And we're trying to make it shorter, okay? Anyway, Sheila, it would be great if you could share your document with us. If you know my email, if you could send it to us, that'd be amazing. And then Mafalda and Deborah can have a look at that. Rafael, you had another question?
Yeah, I think it's a simple one. What is the minimum form of expression of consent? Let me give an example. Yesterday, I asked everyone in our session, can I take a picture? We're going to share this online. Everyone did this. For me, this is pretty explicit.
Yeah, but that's not
actually
hold.
If
you ever had to go to court, that would not hold. That's not enough. You see, that's the point.
Yeah, I know. Okay, see, that's a very. Then the question was better than I thought. So
It is a very good question. I'll tell you what. For example, right now we've asked people. Well, we asked when we started to record this video, and in the meantime, a few people joined us in the video, right? And we haven't asked. We can't ask this every single time. It just goes against everything, right? So we hope that people see the recording button there, and eventually they will switch off their videos, for example. But there will be a balance, an equilibrium between obeying the rules, not just the spirit of the law, but the rules very strictly, and also making sure that we can carry on our meetings as usual. So it's the same thing when you do a Zoom meeting, for example. If you do a meeting on Zoom, like we are doing here, but on a club, some people join, and if you've got this being streamed, what's it called, live streamed onto Facebook or onto YouTube, people will see it will be live immediately. So that's going to be a bit of a trouble, right? But again, we have to strike a good balance between what is lawful and asking people, yes, it's lawful and everything, and what is not, goes completely against the law, right? Deborah and Mafalda, if you find that there's anything wrong that I'm saying here, please tell me, okay? Alvaro, you had a question, but I think Martinique has another question. Can we just go to Martinique first? If you just give us a minute. Martinique, yes.
And for a moment there, I lost it, but now I got it back.
Okay.
One of the things that you asked us to do in this very few days is to choose then a representative for the GDPR in case we want to comply. My question is, what will be the tasks that the representative will have to do? Are they responsible for the implementation?
Okay. Can we go back to this question at the end? At the end of the session, is that okay? Because we're now talking about just the privacy notices and these in and outs, and that's a great question. I've written it down, and when we finish, well, before we finish, we'll go back to it. If that's okay with you, yeah. Okay, Alvaro, you had a question?
Yes, I see there is information at several levels. I am from the prestigious speakers in Barcelona, and the only information that we get from members is the name and the email, not the address, not the gender, not the phone. And we have quite an easy form from Toastmasters International, just one page. And the only information that we keep the record, it is one.
Okay.
So from this point of view, all this other level of information, we don't have it at our club.
Fine.
So I don't see at the club level what else we can do when we are not going to do anything with this information. We only want to know the name and the email.
Okay.
No telephone, no gender, nothing else. Not the postal address, nothing else.
Okay, so I have 2 comments about that. First of all, if you want to fill in the form on Toastmasters International correctly, there is room there for the address and for the phone number. Okay, why?
Yeah,
because they will say that's yes.
But then it is not for the club. I mean
I know, but you can. The point is, you're right. Yes, it's not for the club, but it's at least in some clubs, people will ask that from the member, and they will create the entry there on the website, the new user on the website, or it could be themselves doing that. If you decide not to hold that information, that's absolutely fine. And you, as the GDPR member, for example, the GDPR contact, or as a club officer, you can have a look at this privacy notice, and you can just take away that information that it's not necessary. For example, address, you don't have it, fine, just delete it from your version in your club from that form. Okay, absolutely fine.
I mean that the form I mentioned is a form from Toastmasters International. I don't have it now. Do you know this form? That it was distributed some time ago by the district.
Mm-hmm.
It was a form that was distributed only one page. And do you mean that this form that was some kind of official form is not valid anymore for this purpose?
No, we're not saying that at all. First of all, I haven't been I have never been a VPM, so I'm not sure what exactly that form is right now. But what I can say is Toastmasters, even if it only asks you for some information when you go in, it can ask a lot more. What you're saying, though, makes a lot of sense. So if that form doesn't include more information, then it's up to the user, to the member, to provide it to Toastmasters. However, note this, that when that information is at Toastmasters International website, even if you didn't put it there, but the member put it there, sometimes you may want to, at club, at area, at division, at district level, you may need to get that information. It comes out in club reports, in club rosters. It comes out when you go to the club central tools or district tools and so on. That information, you can get it. So even if someone put it there, you're going to hold it, and then it needs to be protected by that document. You see what I'm saying? Even if you don't ask it from the beginning, you will find it at some point. You will deal with it, and you need to be protected with it. You need to tell the user, we hold this information. We may use it in reports. We may use it to send you something to a home or something. You see what I'm trying to say? Okay. Anybody else has any question before we go in? So Martinique, that one we'll leave it to the end, okay? Anyone else has any questions before we carry on? Okay, no. So what I was going to say next is this. I'm just going back to my my script. So I've shown you the version for the club members. I've told you also that there was going to be a smaller, much smaller version for visitors. There's going to be, as I said a while ago, a version for event organizers. It's going to be a shorter version. I'm not sure how long it is, but it's going to be quite shorter compared to this. Not one page, but not much more than that. That will ask information from each member or non-member to say, if you're coming in, these are the rules, and you can say this, yes to this and no to that, whatever. But it's important that people do that if you want to be completely 100% lawful, okay? And this would help, again, following that suggestion by Sheila, it will help people who are not even in the same club to know what are my preferences. I need to remind them of that. For example, if you hold a district-wide event, such as a conference, I'm organizing now this pre-conference that will take place online in May. I can't really go to every club to ask them, how did A and B and C respond, who are coming to this event, respond to their GDPR form? Can you send it to me? It's just too much hassle. It's just impossible. So what we do instead is to create a privacy notice for that event, and that will send that to every single person who's going to attend the event and tell them, you're okay on this, okay? Now, is this complicated? Yes, but that's the rules. This is GDPR, right? Again, it's something that we like everyone to treat personal information with respect. So that's why we want to make sure that everyone who's organizing an event, that there'll be someone there, someone who's, for example, in charge of registrations, to have that form visible, whether if you have it in person, why not a sheet of paper, and then you store it, you digitize it, you store it somewhere, or it could be online, just online, in your own club, in your own events organization and something, and they'll have the list of, what people are saying yes and no to. And that will bring some extra work, yes, but if we want to be compliant, that's necessary, okay? What we cannot do, I'm afraid, is to include every information about events in the main form. Why? Because exactly for the same reason that Sheila was raising a while ago, there's no way that someone from one club, that information can be sent to every level, every club. It doesn't make any sense. So this is how, in every time that we're going to use this information in different clubs, in different levels, and different events, then we're going to ask people to sign this off. Okay? Any questions about this particular thing? Oh, Mafalda is already in. Yay. Hi, Mafalda. There's Mafalda there. So one more thing, which is going to be more useful only for district officers. So most of you will be either club officers or regular members, non-club officers. And those documents that I've said so far, we'll see them, right? However, some people will become area directors or will become division directors, or they will integrate the district core team. In total, I think we have now about 37 or 36 people. I'm not sure about the exact number. For example, Autumn is an area director, as is Annabella here. I'm also a member, by the way, as is Aurea. I'm a member of the district core team. Now we have meetings which are going on, around, throughout the year. We have meetings for very specific reasons. For example, we have what we call the district council meetings. Actually, club officers attend those as well. We have district executive committee meetings. We have meetings for handover to make sure that no subject is left behind, it's not left hanging. Everything is passed on to the next generation well, not generation, but next district core team, for example. And those have very specific needs, right? In terms of information, in terms of using of information. So we'll have a different document for those people. That document will be signed at the beginning of a year by everyone. So on July the 1st, it will be sent out, or thereabouts. Obviously, it doesn't have to be necessarily on July the 1st, but very soon we'll have people, so for 1 year, we'll have those forms being sent to every single officer at those levels, and they will have to say yes and no as usual, as everything else. But it's not at club member level, okay? It's for district leaders. So again, area directors, division directors, and district core team. And when that document will be valid for 1 year, basically it will be valid, or at least until people have the role in that as a role in the district. When it finishes, so for example, if someone is an area director this year and next year will not be an area director, that information will just be stored. It will be, we have that they're okay or not with us in file, and that's basically it. When these people eventually come back to become again area directors or division directors or anything like that, then they'll be asked again. But again, we have about almost 2,000 members across the district in Portugal, Spain, and a few already in Morocco, but this will be only for about 36 or 37 people. So it's just a small, I wouldn't say exception, but just a very small group, okay? Any questions about these last documents about the events and district officers? No? Okay, so let's carry on. I see many of you have switched off your image because you've probably heard that this is not being recorded, right? I hope you're not scared. Okay, excuse me. So what we're going to do from now on is this. We're going to provide these documents on the districts, on the toastmastersiberia.org website. So there will be a new section there with all the documents, like a templates that you can use, right? You can change those templates. Yes, it's up to you, because again, clubs are sovereign, but be careful about that, because if the templates will have to be next year. If you have your own opinion this year as a club officer, but next year there could be different people and they have their own opinion. So be careful about that, okay? The other thing is we're going to have our own, so those documents will be stored online. Anyone can go in and get those. One thing, and of course it will be transparent. So it means that any member can go and see, of course, what the original documents are. I don't think that's a big deal. I would say that you have your own fields that you can change. They're marked clearly in yellow. In that area online, there will also be what we hope to be a simple way to ensure that every club is, first of all, compliant. So what are the main rules? What's the spirit of this? Links to these webinars. And there will also be a little section telling how you should proceed at the end of the year, so by the end of June or so, to ensure that the information is passed on to the next generation of club officers. And that's quite important. Why? Because we want to make sure that is listening to this now, even if you go away from Toastmasters or from the club, which change clubs, anything, it's normal, it happens, obviously. We want to make sure that the information is kept, that it's passed on to the next group of people, to the next group of leaders, okay? So we're going to do that at district level this way. Currently, I'm the administration manager, so I deal with administration things such as sending out these emails, ensure that we send out calls to meetings, and making sure that I write the minutes of those meetings and share them widely and so on. So currently, I wouldn't say it's exactly a coincidence, but currently I'm a GDPR project manager and I'm also the administration manager. And I've asked the district director, Cristina Huesas, that, well, I've suggested, and she said yes, that the next administration manager will inherit this role, and the next one, and the next one after that. So what we're going to do is, for now, until the end of this year, Toastmasters year, so until the end of June, I'll be the one dealing with this. And then on July the 1st, the new administration manager, I'll make sure that I'll pass on all this information to him or her, and this will be carried on. And the next day after that, and so on, right? So this guarantees that we have a continuance, a sustainability of this process, which is something that we're quite concerned about, making sure that this doesn't fall off, through the cracks. Sometimes it happens because we have new teams. No, it won't happen this time. At least what I'll make sure is, as long as I am in the district core team, even if not administration manager, which I'm going to be just this year, next year there'll be somebody else, I will make sure personally that as long as I'm in the district officer team, that there will always be someone who will deal with this. And this will be an important thing, right? In their agenda, in their roles, in their responsibilities, okay? I hope this will be, this will provide some breathing, some relief to you, to those of you who might be concerned about the continuance of this GDPR compliance across the district, okay? Any questions about this particular thing? No? Okay, so about the project, what we're going to do is this, next steps. We're going to, in the next couple of weeks at the most, we're going to keep waiting for, actually until January the 31st, but then a few days more after that, it's okay. We're going to wait for everyone from all the clubs to register in that form that I sent out to say who is the GDPR officer, let's say. And after that, we'll start sending out information to all of you. The information will be the forms, the link to the websites on Toastmasters, the instructions about what to do and when, and so on. And the instructions will also say how we're going to store this information. For example, we can just digitize everything. We don't have to have a paper with a safe and with a safe combination key and everything. No, we can just scan everything or take pictures, put it online. It'll be more than enough. It can be on Google Drive, anything like that, and then you can pass it on. We don't really have to hold the originals. As long as we have a copy, a digital copy, it's absolutely fine, and it's legal, right? So when we do that, we're going to be, and when I say we, it's going to be myself and Deborah and Mafalda. We're going to be available until, I would say, end of May, available for any questions you may have, so that we basically help you implementing GDPR across, to your club. Okay, Autumn, thank you. Autumn needs to leave now. So the point is, anything that you need help with during this project, the three of us will be together and we'll help with that without any questions. We'll just, we'll help out. Any questions that you may have, I've sent out the email. It's in the emails that I sent out. There's an email there, GDPR District 107 GDPR at Gmail or something like that. So it's an email that we can share. It's an email that we'll hope will carry on in the future. And that email will have everything, all the forms and everything, all the files will be there. They'll be migrated there. And when this finishes, so by the end of May, if you still have any questions, you can count on me. Now, I want to release the project. The project needs to have an ending. The project itself is something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It will finish by the end of May, no later than that. It doesn't mean that after that, you're going to be left high and dry. No way. What we're going to do is to ensure that I am, as administration manager, not as a project manager anymore, but I personally, as an administration manager, will keep on answering any questions that you have, any requests for help, anything that you need. GDPR compliance related, talk to me. Send out an email. That's absolutely fine. After July the 1st, you can send out, it'll be a different person, but you can send out email to the same email address, and that person will definitely pick it up and carry on my job, my duty. Okay? Does this make sense to all of you?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, let me see if there's anything else here. I'll have a quick look again at yes, at my script, and it's absolutely fine.
Rafael Torres first. He has a question.
Okay, I didn't notice that. Rafael, okay, yes.
Rafael Torres, no? You don't want to go?
Yes, I have a. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. I was wondering if you could leave your email or the other person you have said so in case I have to contact with questions, I can make the questions.
Sure, I'll write it here on the chat, and you've got my personal email here, so gmail.com.
Okay.
However, I'm going to get the other email as well. If you give me a second, just I want to make sure that I get the right one. If you give me a second, where is it now? I'm just going to find the original email that I sent out just to make sure that I've got the right email. There you are. No, not yet. Just looking at my own emails. Okay, I've got it now. So this is, I'm again in the chat, the official email. Okay, so send out your emails to here, and I receive it as well as Mafalda and Deborah. So feel free also to write in Spanish if you prefer, and we'll get someone to answer to you, okay? To reply to you. Thank you. Now, even before we finish, we raise that question again by Martinique. So just next thing. So I've told you that we're going to share this information with you, that we will wait for people to register until the 31st of January, that the project will be finished by May, and that after that we have just a quick reminder that we are going to carry on this not as a project, but as an ongoing duty by the administration manager. And the next short steps are going to be like this. So next week, a week from today, we're going to have 2 webinars exactly like this in Portuguese and in Spanish. And we're going to have other people coming in. If you want to come in, feel free. If you find that there's, oh, I still have a question, I'd love to do it online, feel free to come. We're going to send another reminder on next Wednesday with the links to the Zoom links. So feel free to drop in at any point, ask any more questions. It's up to you. And if you are, for example, an area director, or if you are a club officer, if you want to talk to other people, to other officers in other clubs, feel free to do it. If you want to make sure, yeah, this is really nice, it's really exciting, maybe not, I don't know. Come in, guys, come in, join us, come to the webinar. It's going to be great. It's up to you. I hope you can pass on this information, okay? So I'm finished here, but I would love to hear again this question. Martini, can you repeat that question again, just so everyone is on board again?
What will be the tasks that the GDPR representative will have to do in all their clubs?
Okay, so I'm not going to give you the full list, as it's not going to be that long, but in full detail. But the point about the GDPR officer here is to ensure that this person will get these forms to the members, and the members will sign them, and the GDPR person will then digitize these forms, put them online, and of course making sure that this person always have to look around and make sure, helping out other people to ensure that everybody is aware of these rules and how to be respectful, mindful of personal information. One big question here, well, not a question, but one big information I would add. I would say that this doesn't have to be a new person in the club. This doesn't have to be a new role in the sense that that doesn't have to be one person specifically for this. I would suggest that it should be a current officer that will accumulate this job. A perfect officer to do this would be either the VPM, the VP, the Vice President of Membership, or the Secretary. I mean, it could be VP, it could be President. I don't mind very much. We don't mind. It's absolutely fine. But ideally, someone who already deals with personal information, already has to go on to EasySpeak and create the user, or onto Toastmasters International. That would help because it's already that same person, right? And this won't make it too hard anyway. It's not such a big deal.
I'm sorry. My
Yes.
internet connection broke as you were saying what the role was.
Yeah.
Can
So
you
I was
repeat
just saying that
just
the role of the GDPR, so GDPR compliance officer, let's say the contact person, is to ensure that they give out the forms to everyone to sign, that they will take a picture or scan the forms, and they will store that information, safely. And of course, to make sure that everybody else, whether other officers or other members of the clubs, eventually, they will be very aware, very keen-eyed on making sure that everybody else will also follow the rules, right? And
yes,
finally, the
and
last thing I was saying,
you were about
yes,
the perfect role officer is
either a VPM.
Sorry,
Vice
everybody.
President.
Nice
Yes?
to see all of you. I have to leave.
Okay, marvelous.
Quite clear for me. Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you so much. Great to see you. Bye-bye. And Kathy is also dropping out. Thank you, Kathy. So just to answer your question, can you repeat that again? Because now I was a bit distracted because of the people living in.
So the perfect officer is?
Oh, I would say VPM or the secretary. VPM, I think, would be best. But again, each club sometimes has different things. For example, I know some clubs that secretaries don't do much because they don't have to. Some other clubs, the secretaries do a lot. It depends from club to club, but this is only a suggestion. Luca.
Now that we are still in this kind of lockdown mode,
yes.
It's just about logistics, no? So there are members that I haven't seen personally in 1 year, probably. Yeah. So I like the idea about catching them, having them sign the form and everything, and scan the form would be, well, not difficult, but just a matter of logistics.
Everything can be done online, Luca.
Do you
everything, you can do everything online. You don't have to, the person doesn't really have to be, really have to go there and sign, an actual piece of paper. It's only if we go back to having in-presence meetings and we, a VPM or secretary can have those forms ready at hand, then we can use that. Until then, or if the person is online or for something like that, then we'll ask that to be done online, and that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Good.
Understood.
Any more questions? Yes. Lisboa Oriente.
Hi, Norbert. Sorry, I arrived a bit late. You might have said it at the beginning of the meeting, but is there a deadline for us to get these answers back to, get all the forms from all the current members?
No, not at all. I mean, this is an ongoing thing, right? The idea here is we're going to give you all the information, and then this is something that you have to start working on. This is always something that is unfinished. We're always going after, if you're going to have a new member, it's going to take a few days after doing that. So in fact, we can never be officially 100% compliant, but we're trying to go there, right? So there is there's no deadline per se, but of course it's good, that in the sense of implementing this, that you can do it, I don't know, in a few weeks, a few months. It's not a big deal, right?
Right. Thanks.
Anybody else? Any more questions? Martinique, you still have any questions? Still have your hand raised in the air? You do. Okay. Now, Deborah and Mafalda, are you still there by any chance? Let's see, Deborah, but Mafalda's dropped out, I think. Oh, there you are. I couldn't recognize you with your hair swept back like that. You're there in the corner. I don't know if you heard me speaking, if there was anything that I said that's not completely legally correct. If you are, this is the moment, correct me. Everything's fine? This is what I love the most about working with Mafalda and Deborah. I do things that just, for me, makes sense. And they said, yes, Norberto, that's absolutely correct. And good, I could be a lawyer. I could, at least for GDPR anyway. I love you too. Thank you. So if we have no more questions, I would say that it's time to adjourn this. It's taken a little bit more than 1 hour, but I think it's been quite useful. some of the, your questions were amazing. It's really useful to have them. We're going to have to go back and go into a little bit more detail about those. But this is why we think that running these webinars is really useful. Rather than having this communication just by email, it's useful to see each other face to face, or at least electronically anyway, and have the opportunity to get these questions from you, because this is really, really helpful. For example, that comment from Sheila, very useful. From Martinique, from Rafael, thank you, folks, for everyone. And it's been really helpful to get your inputs.
Thank you. Thank you for having the meeting, for all the information.
Thank you very much.
To all of you. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm going to stop recording now. Bye-bye.